Dear friends, I stand before you today to share a truth so profound, so transformative, that it will forever alter the way you perceive reality. They laughed when I first spoke of these principles. Colleagues, friends, even those closest to me dismissed what I had discovered as mere fantasy. Yet what unfolded in my life afterwards silenced every skeptic and confirmed what I now know with absolute certainty. The world you experience is nothing more than an outpicturing of your consciousness. What if I told you that everything you've been taught about manifestation is built upon a fundamental misunderstanding? What if the vision boards, the endless affirmations, the constant visualization techniques you've been practicing are merely shadows of a far more powerful truth? Today, I shall pull back the veil on Neville Goddard's actual teachings that most self-proclaimed experts have completely distorted or failed to comprehend. For those unfamiliar with this spiritual giant, Neville Goddard stands as perhaps the most influential teacher of manifestation principles in the 20th century. Born in Barbados in 1905, this mystic's revelations have quietly shaped the spiritual landscape, though few truly understand the revolutionary nature of his message. After immersing myself in Goddard's complete works for over 7 years, studying his books, lectures, and recordings with devotional intensity, I discovered the crucial elements that most teachers and students of manifestation consistently miss. The principles I'm about to share with you are not theoretical abstractions. They are living truths that have manifested in my own experience with such precision and power that I can no longer deny their validity. Before I encountered Neville's teachings, I struggled with chronic financial instability, relationships that repeatedly dissolved into disappointment, and a career that seemed perpetually stalled. The conventional manifestation methods I diligently practiced yielded only temporary results at best. But then everything changed, and today I will reveal exactly what shifted in my understanding, and more importantly, in my consciousness, that transformed my external reality with an almost miraculous swiftness. In this revelation, I will dismantle 3 major misconceptions about manifestation that have kept you bound to limitation and struggling to create the life you desire. These misconceptions aren't merely slight errors in technique. They represent fundamental misunderstandings about the very nature of consciousness and reality. My friends, your consciousness is not simply a tool for manifestation. It is the very substance from which your entire experience of reality is constructed. Until you truly grasp this truth, you will remain trapped in techniques that treat manifestation as something happening out there, rather than as an expression of what you already are. Let me share a quick example before we dive deeper. Last December, I found myself in what appeared to be an impossible financial situation. Bills were mounting, opportunities had dried up, and conventional wisdom suggested it would take months, if not years, to recover. Yet within 72 hours of applying the exact principle I'll share with you today, a series of events unfolded that not only resolved my immediate financial crisis, but established a new baseline of abundance that has continued to expand. Was this coincidence? Perhaps that's what I might have believed before. But having witnessed this pattern unfold hundreds of times in my life, and in the lives of those I've guided through these principles, I can assure you this is law. It is as consistent as gravity, once you understand its operation. So prepare yourself. What I'm about to share may initially challenge everything you believe about how reality works. You may find yourself resistant, even skeptical. That's natural. The conditioned mind rebels against truths that threaten its understanding of the world. But I urge you to temporarily suspend your disbelief and simply test these principles in the laboratory of your own experience. The difference between the man who is awakened and the one who sleeps is that the awakened man knows the source of his vision, Neville once declared. Today, you will awaken to the true source of your reality. Now, the first shocking truth about manifestation that contradicts almost everything you've been taught is this. Manifestation is not about attracting things from outside yourself. The world is not separate from you, waiting to be influenced by your thoughts or vibrations. Rather, the entire world you experience is a projection of your consciousness, a 3-dimensional shadow cast by the light of your awareness. This understanding revolutionizes manifestation practice. When you truly grasp that nothing exists outside of consciousness, you'll realize that you're not trying to change something external, you're simply learning to rearrange the contents of your own awareness. As Neville so eloquently stated, the world is yourself pushed out. Everything you perceive, every person you encounter, every circumstance you face. These are not independent realities, but reflections of states of consciousness you have occupied. This explains why conventional manifestation techniques so often fail. They treat the world as separate from you, something to be manipulated through mental effort, rather than transformed through a shift in being. My friends, the transformation you seek begins not with changing what you do, but with changing who you are. And this brings us to our second revelation, which I'll share with you in just a moment. For now, simply sit with this revolutionary understanding. There is no world to change. There is only consciousness to shift. Now let's address the second profound misconception that has kept you trapped in manifestation mediocrity. The belief that you need to keep affirming and visualizing repeatedly to manifest your desires. Determined persistence in assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the first and most important step in bringing invisible states into visible expression. Neville taught. Note carefully what he emphasized: not persistent visualization, not repeated affirmations, but persistent assumption of the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Most manifestation teachers will tell you to visualize your desire repeatedly, to recite affirmations until they somehow penetrate your subconscious. But Neville's technique, what he called living from the end, operates on an entirely different principle. Rather than trying to influence reality through repetition, you must enter a state of consciousness where your desire is already fulfilled, and live from that state as if it were already accomplished. Let me illustrate the difference with a personal example. For years, I had been trying to manifest a specific teaching opportunity that would allow me to share these principles with a wider audience. I created vision boards, wrote affirmations, visualized the outcome daily, all the conventional approaches. Month after month passed with no results. Then I discovered Neville's true teaching. One evening, I sat quietly and asked myself, how would I feel if this opportunity had already manifested? What would be my mental and emotional state if I were already living this reality? I allowed myself to fully enter that state of consciousness, feeling the deep satisfaction, the quiet confidence, the peaceful certainty that comes not from wanting something, but from already having it. I didn't simply visualize the outcome. I assumed the consciousness of someone who had already achieved it. I lived from that state, speaking, thinking, and feeling as that person would. And here's the crucial distinction. I didn't do this as a technique to get something. I recognized that by assuming this state of consciousness, I was already creating the reality corresponding to it. Within 2 weeks, I received an invitation to speak at an event that not only matched my desire, but exceeded it in ways I couldn't have anticipated. This wasn't manifestation as most understand it. It was the natural outpicturing of a state of consciousness I had assumed. The feeling of the wish fulfilled, if persisted in, will harden into fact, Neville assured us. But note the emphasis on feeling, not mental pictures, not words repeated, but the actual feeling tone of the fulfilled desire. This is what he meant by his famous phrase, feeling is the secret. The third misconception that has kept you from experiencing the fullness of your manifestation power is the belief that manifestation requires positive thinking and high vibrations. This has become perhaps the most widespread distortion of manifestation principles in modern spiritual circles. Neville never spoke of raising your vibration or maintaining positive thoughts. Instead, he taught something far more profound, the law of assumption. While the popular law of attraction suggests that like attracts like, the law of assumption reveals that like creates like. Whatever state you assume, whatever you accept as true in your consciousness, must objectify itself in your experience. This is why Neville's technique of revision differs dramatically from toxic positivity. Revision isn't about denying negative experiences or forcing positive interpretations onto painful events. It's about recognizing your creative power to rewrite the scripts of your consciousness. When you revise an event in your imagination, you're not pretending something didn't happen, you're actually transforming the impact and meaning of that event in your consciousness, which must then reflect in your reality. Let me share a powerful example from Neville's own lectures. He recounted the story of a woman whose husband had abandoned her and their children, leaving them in dire financial circumstances. Rather than affirming positive statements about abundance or visualizing her husband's return, she applied the principle of revision. Each night before sleep, she would revise the day as if her husband had never left, experiencing the feeling of his loving presence, hearing his voice in their home, feeling the security of their family unit restored. Within weeks, her husband returned, deeply apologetic, and committed to rebuilding their relationship. Was this coincidence? Not according to the law of assumption. By revising her consciousness, she literally reshaped the projection of her reality. Man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness, Neville declared. This statement overturns nearly everything modern manifestation teachers proclaim. They'll tell you that your thoughts attract corresponding experiences, that your emotions emit vibrations that draw similar circumstances. But Neville's teaching cuts deeper. Your state of consciousness doesn't attract reality, it creates. This is why techniques focused on maintaining positive thoughts or high vibrations so often fail. They're attempting to manipulate reality through mental effort rather than recognizing that consciousness itself is the only reality. When you truly grasp this, you'll understand why Neville emphasized the importance of entering the state of the wish fulfilled rather than trying to attract it from outside yourself. My dear friends, let us now integrate these profound revelations into a practical understanding that you can apply immediately in your life. We've unveiled 3 fundamental truths about Neville Goddard's authentic teachings. First, manifestation isn't about attracting things from outside yourself. The entire world is your consciousness projected outward. Second, successful manifestation doesn't require endless repetition of affirmations or visualizations, but rather assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And third, manifestation operates not through the law of attraction, but through the law of assumption. You don't attract what you want, you outpicture what you are. These truths stand in stark contrast to the watered-down, commercialized version of manifestation principles circulating today. But more importantly, they offer you a direct path to experiencing the creative power that has been your birthright all along. Now, I want to share a simple yet profound exercise that captures the essence of Neville's teaching, one you can practice immediately to begin experiencing the transformative power of these principles. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, identify one specific desire you wish to manifest. Rather than visualizing it as a future possibility, I want you to create a scene that would imply your desire has already been fulfilled. This scene should be simple, concise, and implied what Neville called the end, the final satisfaction of your desire. For example, if you desire financial abundance, don't imagine receiving money or seeing a specific number in your bank account. Instead, create a scene where you are peacefully going about your day with the quiet confidence of someone for whom financial concerns are no longer relevant. Perhaps you're casually making a purchase that would currently be outside your means, but doing so with complete ease and without consulting your bank balance. The key is to make this scene as vivid and real as possible, engaging all your senses. What do you see? What sounds surround you? What physical sensations would you experience in this fulfilled state? Most importantly, capture the feeling of quiet satisfaction, the feeling of "isn't it wonderful" that accompanies desires already fulfilled. Now, as you drift towards sleep, enter this scene fully. Don't simply watch it as a spectator, become the protagonist experiencing it in the first person. And here's the crucial step that most miss: feel the naturalness of this state. It shouldn't feel exciting or novel, but rather completely normal, as if this has always been your reality. Neville explained that the drowsy state before sleep is the ideal moment for this practice because your conscious, analytical mind is relaxed, allowing your imaginal act to penetrate the subconscious more easily. Whatever you feel yourself to be as you fall asleep, he wrote, is the mood you will awaken in, and that mood or feeling will be objectified in your outer world. As you continue this practice, you may notice an interesting shift. The need to try to manifest begins to fade. You'll start to recognize that your consciousness is already creative, already manifesting in every moment. Your work is not to make something happen, but to assume the state from which your desire naturally flows. Now, I anticipate some questions may arise as you begin this practice. Some ask, how long should I persist in this imaginal act? Neville's answer was clear. Until it feels natural, until it bears the feeling of reality rather than fantasy. For some desires, this may occur in a single night. For others, it may require several nights of faithful practice. Others wonder, what if doubts arise during the day? This is perfectly natural. The conditioned mind resists new patterns. When doubts arise, don't fight them or feel discouraged. Simply recognize them as thoughts passing through your awareness, and gently return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Remember, persistence is not about forcing yourself to believe something, but about faithfully returning to the state you wish to embody. Perhaps the most common concern is, How will I know if I'm doing it correctly? The evidence will appear in your outer world. As Neville often said, an assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. When you truly assume a state of consciousness, the outer world must reshape itself to match that inner reality. This is law. My friends, now that you know what Neville Goddard really taught, you can stop wasting time on techniques that don't work and start experiencing the results you've been seeking. You don't need to spend years studying complex metaphysical systems or mastering elaborate visualization techniques. The power has always been within you, waiting to be recognized and expressed through the simple but profound practice of assuming the state of consciousness of your wish fulfilled. In closing, I invite you to test these principles in the laboratory of your own experience. Don't take my word for it, prove it to yourself. As Neville frequently emphasized, the promise is fulfilled, not as something given to you, but as the result of a state of consciousness you have assumed. Subscribe to this channel for more videos revealing the misunderstood teachings of manifestation masters. In our next exploration, I'll share how to apply Neville's principle of revision to heal your past and transform your relationships. Until then, remember this ultimate truth: imagination creates reality. Not sometimes, not occasionally, always. Whatever you are experiencing now is the result of states you have previously occupied, and whatever you will experience tomorrow is being determined by the state you are assuming today. Thank you for joining me on this journey of awakening to your true creative power. Until we meet again, I am inviting you to live magnificently from the state of your wishes fulfilled.